Hey, I'm Jon Thelen. Today I'm Fish Ed. I'm out fishing some mid-lake stuff, midsummer, and man, this is one of my favorite times of the year to fish because the fish just get aggressive and there's so many different ways to catch them, but I'll tell you what, one of my favorites is pulling spinners because you get to feel that bite. You can put them in a rod holder if you want, you can hand hold them, anybody can do it. Spinner fishing's actually pretty doggone easy, and you know what? It's really effective at this time of the year. Stay right where you're at. Fish Ed's coming up. There's one. Got him. Man, right when I dropped that down, this fish snapped it. Feels like a pretty good walleye to start. You know, I think the neatest thing about spinner fishing is the fact that it's so simple to do. And what I mean by that is walleyes are so aggressive when it comes to spinners that you can hand hold the rod. If you've got inexperienced fishermen, you can put the rod in the rod holder and just wait till it doubles over. But you can fish so many different ways with a spinner as far as just being able to put a bait down there in front of them. And walleyes like this one here, I mean, just a great eater-sized fish. He's gonna attack that spinner all day long because, I mean, you can look, I mean, he's got it all the way down his mouth. And he'll attack that spinner all day long for one reason only. It looks like a combination of a minnow and some food coming by. It's got that crawler on there, so you got your live bait, but that spinner is emulating a minnow coming by, and that walleye right there, I mean, he's just a great 16-inch eater-sized fish. We'll let him go. We'll get plenty of fish today, but he thinks that flash, that vibration could be a minnow, and then it's got that live bait too. So that night crawler is going to give you some scent. It's going to give you some added action back there, and you know what? Walleyes just can't resist it. I mean, that's why I love spinner fishing, because day in and day out, walleyes love spinners. I mean, as soon as we get to that point where the water warms up just a little bit, and we'll talk about that as the show goes on, and spinners crank up, man, it's one of the most aggressive bites of the year on live bait. And that's what makes it so fun for me to fish spinners. There's one. Got him. Ooh, feels like a pretty good fish. Didn't see this one on the graph. Goes to show you sometimes, you know, a lot of times you'll see the fish you're about to catch on the graph, spinner fishing, because you're so much really fishing under the boat, or, you know, just behind the boat. Well, this one here, I'll tell you what, I didn't see him, which tells you that this fish is just flying around eating. But these fish will be cruising around and they'll see that spinner rig come by them. Oh yeah, it's a really nice eye. Let's not lose this guy, huh? But he saw this spinner come by, got wound up about it, and came and got it. Oh geez, I'll tell you what, I did everything in my power to lose that fish. It's a big walleye. Look at that. What an awesome fish. Look at that, he came unhooked right here too. That's awesome. Let me show you this fish. We'll get him out of here. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I'm doing this and why it works. That fish right there, oh, I see what happened. Got in the net, he broke one of my hooks off. I'll show you, I'll get that out of there for him. So when I let him go, he's all good. But that's an awesome walleye right there. What a great fish. We'll get this guy out of here. And then let's talk a little bit about how I'm going about pulling spinners, because realistically, this is not complicated, but I get asked a lot of times, you know, hey, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not catching fish when I'm pulling spinners? And let me explain to you the basics of this, because it'll really help you understand how I'm catching fish. Number one, I'm using a bottom bouncer, and this is 1.5 ounces. Now, for every a mile an hour you go with 1.5 ounce bottom bouncer, you're going to be at about a 45-degree angle, and that's where I want to be. I'm trying to not become more than a 45-degree angle, because when I'm fishing deep water like I'm doing here, and I classify anything deep as being 20 feet or more, as soon as I'm out in that 20 feet or more, man, I'm a firm believer that as long as I'm at a 45-degree angle back here behind the boat, I'll be able to get these fish caught. The second thing is I want to make sure I'm within bottom contact. I want to be able to set that bouncer down and then lift it back up and know that I'm just above the bottom. I'm not in bottom contact all the time though. I want to stay in bottom contact as far as my proximity, but I don't want to bounce that bouncer along. And you'll notice when I'm fishing, I'll go down, I'll touch bottom, just make sure I can lift it right back up, hold it about that high above the bottom. That is the number one key, I think, when it comes to catching fish on spinners, is putting the spinner in the right place. If you're dragging on the bottom, you're stirring stuff up, you might spook those fish and they might actually run. If you're up too high, they might not come up and get it because they just don't need to. They're not at that suspended part of the year. Right now, they're bottom related. So you really want to just be, if this was bottom, you want that bouncer about this high above the bottom, and you just want to be able to cruise along at about 1 mile an hour. Now I might jump up to 1.2 miles, I might drop down to 0.8, but in that neighborhood, you're going to be at that 45-degree angle and have control of your bait. And I think bait control is the biggest piece to catching fish with spinners. There's one. He's hanging on. Got him. There, I just left that rod sit in the rod holder and just watched for that bite, knowing eventually it'd come. You know, I'm going over enough fish here. I'm fishing about 22 feet of water, and I'm working my way all the way out into 26, 27. There's a rock pile here that comes up a little bit, and I'm just working the outer edges of this flat. Another good eater size fish. A lot of these fish, you know, and I'm just gonna hoist this guy. He's 14-incher, but well, he's maybe even better than that. There I am, just hoisting him. Come here, buddy. These fish are just piled up around the outside edge of the structure, and you know, when you get on fish like this, and when I say piled up, I want to be a little careful, because the time that I pull spinners is when fish are a little scattered. And these fish are actually, when I say piled up, I gotta be careful because they're actually a little bit scattered. And that's what's making spinners so effective for these fish right now, is the fact I'm able to work my way around this structure and get to each one of those fish that is scattered here and there outside around it. Second thing I'm doing with the spinner is I'm able to make a fish move. I'm a big believer, I say this quite often, whether I'm ice fishing or open water fishing, man, if I can get a fish to move, I tend to feel like he's gonna bite. You know, when you look at an ice fish and bite and they come flying up and they smack it, very seldom do they come up fast and not take it. The times that they come up and they don't take it are when they come up really slow and they're looking at something slow. Well, equate that to summertime, and a spinner's moving by them pretty fast. It's vibrating, it's making racket, it's sneaking by them, and they're gonna move fast. And when they move fast, when you trigger that reaction from them, usually they'll bite. As much as I think bait control is so important, putting that bait in the right place, man, a lot of that spins right off of your boat control. If you don't have good boat control, I'll tell you what, it's hard to do anything with your bait right throughout the day. And that's one of the things I like about spinner fishing too, especially for folks that are a little bit inexperienced, is the boat control side of it's pretty easy, because the faster you're moving, the easier it is to keep boat control. The wind won't catch you and throw you as much if you're moving. And this is the kind of presentation when I'm trucking along at, you know, 1 mile an hour, you know, maybe up a little faster, 1.2 miles, down to maybe a 0.8. The reality of it is I'm moving fast enough that I'm keeping pretty good control of the boat. So I can keep my bait in control as well, because I'm not ending up all over. I'm picking a speed. I'm able to stay there pretty precisely. It's a pretty simple deal when you're using a bow mount electric trolling motor. It's one of the things, there's fish right there. It's one of the things that I think is so cool. Look at him just chewing on it. Got him. About spinner fishing is the fact that you can do what we're doing here, keep really good boat control. That good boat control leads to good bait control. Keeping your bait in the right spot flat out leads to more of this right here. More bites, more fish throughout the day. If you can put all that together, man, you can catch fish. And I think it's easier with spinners than it is with a lot of different presentations out there, because ultimately I got the boat moving fast enough to be effective. Look at that. Come here, buddy. Another good eater size fish. Man, just one after another. Look at that walleye. That's awesome. Beat it, buddy. Got him. Feels like a decent fish. Oh yeah, that should be a good fish. And that's a good thing, because if you look out there to the west right now, our day is going to be over in just a few minutes. there's weather coming at us. Man, let me tell you, this is some of the most effective fishing you can do, spinner fishing. Walleyes love it. And I mean, man, we just wailed on them here. And I mean, this has been a short little afternoon of fishing. And it's just been one after another. And it's because when you get dialed in on something like a spinner bite, man, I'll tell you what, it is just so effective. And you can catch fish like this consistently for quite a long time, because these fish, they'll just keep eating. I mean, they'll slide a little off the structure and you can go fish it. They'll be a little bit more up on the structure. You can go right up on it and you can fish it. You can catch walleyes like that one right there, over and over and over. What a great way to wrap it up. That storm's gonna bear down on us, so we're gonna get out of here. That's awesome right there.